Hey everyone, welcome to a new view on travel. This is episode 21 already. Normally I would be joined by Tammy Prost of Tropical Escapes Destination Weddings and Travel from Saskatchewan, as well as Sherry Coleman from Robert Hugh Travel in Ontario. But Sherry's extremely busy today, booking a whole bunch of people on new trips, and Tammy the bum is off to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. So I'm running solo today. I'm Christine from escapes.ca from sunny British Columbia at the moment, and let's talk about travel. So I'm just going to do a quick rundown of the news that's happened in the past week, because there's actually a lot that's been going on. The UK has lifted almost all of their COVID-related restrictions. That started yesterday. So obviously the eyes of the world are on them now to see how it goes. Basically, they've removed all requirements for masks, and vaccine passports have become optional. So over the next few days, we'll see if they've turned a corner or not and are on their way out of this finally. Wouldn't that be great news? The Netherlands, Denmark, and France are also reducing or removing COVID restrictions. And the countries are cautiously optimistic that the pandemic has become an endemic, which basically means to say it's something that we're not really going to get rid of, kind of like the seasonal flu, but something that we will just have to live with. But at least we can carry on living and get on with things. Canadian travel groups are calling on the Canadian government to remove restrictions for travel that aren't supported by science in order to help Canada's tourism industry rebound and to assist with travel agency recovery across the country. So let's get travel going again. Genting Hong Kong has, which is the parent company for Crystal Cruises, has filed for bankruptcy last week, and immediately following that, a warrant was issued for the arrest of the Crystal Symphony. When we say arrest, it's basically the same as a seizure, and that's due to unpaid gasoline bills that have been accruing for the last couple of years. The ship was scheduled to return to Miami, but instead diverted to Bimini in the Bahamas to avoid seizure. Guests on board were forced to take a small ferry to Florida. Unfortunately, the seas were pretty rough, and it was a 2-hour journey, so wasn't a very comfortable way to end a 5-star cruise. Crystal's 2 other ships are still at sea, with the Crystal Serenity ending its cruise on January 30th in Aruba, and the Crystal Endeavour finishing in Argentina on February 4th. After that, all operations will cease until at least the end of April to see what the future holds for Crystal Cruises. The U.S. has delayed full rollout of its 5G wireless network due to concerns that it could interfere with airplane instrumentation. Basically, it impacts the altimeters, which calculate a plane's distance to the ground, something that's fairly important. And many of the cell phone towers that are near the airports, those installations have been delayed, so more to come on that one. Adele was set to begin her residency at Las Vegas Caesars Palace last weekend, but instead ended up having to cancel the shows indefinitely due to COVID-related delays. She said that positive tests during filming and creation of the show resulted in a lot of mandatory quarantines. So that meant that the show hasn't been finished. She hopes to have it back on stage later this year. So fingers crossed we'll see that happen. And some really good news, Sandals Royal Bahamian Resort reopened yesterday after a $55 million renovation. They've added some really interesting luxurious suites with swim-out suites that actually have an infinity pool right at the edge of the beach. If you haven't been to the Bahamas, the ocean there is amazingly clear. It is like swimming in a bowl of Jell-O, super clear. And the Sandals Resort there is absolutely lovely, so I highly recommend it. Now moving on to national days and some fun facts or tips. We've got January 30th is National Croissant Day. I don't know about you, but when I'm on vacation, I love to just grab a light bite and then go for a long walk on the beach. And for me, a croissant just does the trick. Tip for you, the Hyatt, Zilara, and Ziva Rose Hall in Jamaica, they have a fresh croissant stand where they make them. They basically take over the brick oven pizza in the morning, and they make fresh baked croissants. You can get plain, you can get with cheese, ham and cheese. They're absolutely delightful. And then later in the day, it becomes a brick oven pizza place where they serve everything from pepperoni pizzas to, of course, jerk chicken. And then February 5th is National Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Day. So I don't know, are you up for the challenge? I think we all should be. Why not? We deserve it. And finally, I've got a tip for you. Basically, if you are sick anytime soon and you plan on traveling within the next 6 months, I strongly, strongly urge you to go and get a PCR test. Now, I know certain provinces have restrictions on this. I know in British Columbia, I believe it's only for 60 years and up who are allowed to actually get a PCR test. You can pay for them, okay? So that's an option. And of course, those Lucira tests that we've talked about before, I will put a link in the description of the video. Those are a way to get a test that's authentic. It's a lab registered test. It's $115 US. But here's the thing, folks, if you have proof of a positive PCR test, not a quick test, not a quick antigen test. There are rapid PCR tests out there, and that's what this $115 Lucira test is. If you've got proof of that, you can return to Canada within 10 to 180 days of that positive test, and you don't have to retest for COVID. You don't have to do another PCR test. So if you've tested positive, you want to go down to the States, you want to go to Mexico, obviously it's going to be a place where you do not have to test to enter. Then you can travel there and you know that you're not going to have to quarantine at the end of the trip by testing positive because you do not have to test. Again, I will put the links to the government website down below that explains all of this, but it's kind of like a get out of jail free card. So if you're sick now, get tested once you're symptom free. Usually the symptoms last for about 17 days on average, and you can usually test positive within that time frame. So get tested, then you can travel and happily be carefree about it all. So a really quick version of the week's latest travel news for you on A New View on Travel. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Now, I'm going to try to do the group. I know Tammy is perfect at this, but if you haven't joined our group already on Facebook, it is Facebook/groups/A New View on Travel. So look for us there. And hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next show in a couple of weeks' time. We'll have Tammy here giving us updates on what her trip was like to sunny Mexico and all the good stuff that's happening down there. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.